This Pitch Breakfast video is brought to you by Spangler and Agins, attorneys for Charlotte's startup community.
All right, my name is Dalton Shaw. I'm the CEO and president of HealthTech Solutions, where we believe in maximizing the gift of life by reducing organ waste with our intelligent communication and supply chain management software. So today in the United States, 54% of donated organs do not get transplanted. That's around 40,000 discarded organs every single year, which has led to what the United States refers to as the organ shortage crisis, with over 122,000 patients waiting for life-saving transplants, 22 of which will die every single day while waiting. This also is a big financial incentives for the United States to improve this problem, with over $30 billion of foregone revenue associated with the discard of those organs specifically. So how did I get started? I'm originally from the University of Iowa, played football there 50 pounds ago, got in a motorcycle accident, ended up having career-ending injuries, one of which was a paralyzed right arm for about the better part of a year, had a nerve transplant. And then after that, I started doing research for the better part of a year in nerve, skin, bone, eye, etc. My uncle's a transplant surgeon, a heart transplant, started Seattle Children's, just recently moved to CMC actually as a heart transplant surgeon here in town. During that time, I met Eric Paul during my research. Eric Paul is the technical co-founder, PhD health informaticist, who was doing research on the organ allocation system, particularly for liver, being that he had 4 aunts waiting for life-saving liver transplants. Unfortunately, now 3, one passed away while waiting last year. So why is there so much waste? The key thing to take away here is that the supply chain currently is broken, and there's no current platform that is secure for them to exchange organ information in real time. So how this happens today, and I'd be glad to go into additional details, but for the sake of time, the key takeaway is that it's multi-institutional, it's multi-organizational, meaning that there are at least eight organizations or hospitals needing to participate in a transplant at any given time. And currently how it's done right now is with iMessage and emails and faxes. And so the big key takeaway there is not only is it incredibly inefficient, which is leading to a lot of these bottlenecks, which is wasted time, which is the lead causing for these organs expiring. These are depreciating assets, I like to say. But it's also the way that they're currently doing it is illegal. So our solution, I like to explain it in how we went to market. We went to market first with a HIPAA-compliant secure communication platform. This was a model that was already existing that we knew worked. We looked at other secure communication providers, copied their models, and tailored it to our specific niche. Phase 2, what we're doing is we got an NIH SBIR Phase 1 grant that was focused on saving time and optimization, which we were able to prove, and that just completed this year. We now are doing a Phase 2 SBIR trial, which is using our AI, and that's really the big key here. Is we've implemented a communication technology software that's being used currently in Iowa, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, and Michigan, and now we're delivering AI through that to the surgeons and the coordinators that are reviewing organ offers on our platform. So what we do is we say, for example, to a surgeon reviewing an organ transplant at 3 a.m., the organ offer actually comes through our platform. We provide real-time retroactive analysis and predictive analysis on the outcomes of that transplant. Obviously they want a good organ for their patient, but what they really care about is making sure that that graft lasts 1 year, because that's what's important for reimbursement. And so we give them those predictive analytics so that real time they can have additional data that they can reference when making this highly critical decision. They only have an hour to make this decision as well, so it's a very timely decision. So our market, this is the different stages, kind of from our beachhead to what we think is our total addressable market, which is a multi-billion-dollar marketplace. We've built an excellent leadership team, most notably Manny Villafana, who's our board chairman. He's the founder of St. Jude Medical, the vitally heart valve company that got acquired by Abbott for $22 billion last year. Where we're at now, we completed a $1 million seed round in January of this year. We have over $500,000 in non-dilutive capital through grants, etc. We've created a strong team, about 12 employees, and hiring more engineers to try to increase our bench strength as we're pushing out more product. On the AI front, we're generating revenue, first paying clients in Iowa, Michigan, and Ohio. We facilitated over 100 life-saving transplants to date. And we have a number of notable clinical opportunities that we hope to be able to continue to boost our credibility within the market, which allow us to break into that early majority out of the early adopter market, which we're currently in. We're currently seeking a $500,000 seed, our convertible note round. That convertible note round was led by Wellmark Blue Cross Blue Shield. We have a big cost savings potential for commercial payers in regards to reducing dialysis costs specifically by increasing kidney transplant. So far we've raised $310,000 of that thus far, and really this will allow us to accelerate some of our hiring plans with a VP of sales as well as some engineers. Thank you.
Dalton, great job. This
Thank you.
was truly fantastic.
Thank you.
You know, given the space, lots of the things that I'm looking for, you really hit them, including, you know, the who you are and why you're interested in this is fascinating. Also the experts and motivated people that you've got involved. You know, your traction. I admittedly don't know a ton about the health tech world, but I do know that you know, it's the regulatory, you know, piece of this, and so that's would be my one question. You know, like I love that how they're currently doing it is illegal, and you being able to just come in and say, okay, we can make this stupid system that you're doing legal, but no, we're going to go further than that, and we're going to make it highly more. I mean, you know, your examples of 500 phone calls. I mean, I can picture that. You know, just like probably every transplant requires a Herculean bureaucratic effort on somebody's part, and probably the family, you know, or the physician of the person that they're trying to save.
Correct.
This seems great, but I'll go back to my question. You know, about, you know, the regulatory, you know, concerns, and I would think that would take a lot of money, more money than you're seeking.
So they've actually made it sustainable to maintain HIPAA compliance, which is the big key here. The other part of why we were really attracted with this particular marketplace was that our first customers were organ procurement organizations, which represent donors. And so organ procurement organizations, we got in there and helped them start communicating around a donor. Donors don't follow under HIPAA compliance because they're not a patient, they're a donor. So there's actually a HIPAA provision, which allowed us to go in really early and start getting traction. Moving forward, we are HIPAA compliant. We maintain HIPAA compliance. We're HealthTech certified. The certifications cost a lot of upfront. And when we're going through a customer sale with a hospital, typically it's a 1-month process with IT security, and there's a security checklist, and they usually require a third-party audit, and that gets expensive. And then there's like a month of the BAA and BASAs, and they want to see the chain of trust. And that can get expensive, but that's pretty boilerplate. There's really only like one negotiable term, which is how soon you let them know about a potential breach. Right now, I mean, we're putting in safeguards. One of the things that we want to do is hire a chief security officer eventually. Because right now we use Aptable, which is a partner that has made this available to allow health IT companies to check the boxes, if you will, for most HIPAA compliance, and they do the monitoring of the servers, and then we monitor the app level. So they make it rather affordable. It's like $1,000 a month.
So, great job, really well done. I assume you're pioneering. I mean, you really don't have competition in the marketplace. It doesn't sound like it all, right?
And I think the only competition would be other secure communication providers in other niches, and that's actually an exit strategy for us.
Give me an example.
So like Lua or Tiger Connect, Volt, Spoke. There's tons. HIPAA Bridge. There's hundreds of secure communication providers. It's a really crowded marketplace. And right now there's about 4 that are, you know, public companies, you know, post Series D or you know, if they are private, large companies. And they're battling for market share. At the University of Iowa where we got started, there was Volt, Spoke, and Tiger Connect all in the same hospital because they started in their own kind of little niche, and now they're battling for market share. And so we would eventually posture when we gained a meaningful market size where they would strategically purchase us to gain market share of maybe customers that their competitor is at and try to drive them out.
So how does your how do the financials work? I don't know, did I miss that, or did you go, like, how does it work?
Yeah. So right now we have currently a software as a service based model. So that is based on the number of users in your organization. We're going to charge you kind of a pay-to-play fee plus a maintenance fee, and that we calculate it monthly and by a user, but they usually like to pay it up front during budget season. Typically, hospitals don't like the idea of they just kind of want to pay for it once and forget about finance it. So that's one way. Where we're going is now that we are offering decision support on a per organ transplant basis or per organ offer, we foresee a transactional model, and that actually allows us to really increase our cost, but not have it be budgeted or billed as overhead on our customers' a balance sheet. So for example, there's an existing cost structure called an organ acquisition cost between the two parties, and then a cost report with the payer. And so we would fit into that organ acquisition cost as a direct transplant expense. And those like the average transaction size of a single organ transplant, when you add in the cost, is like 1.5 million. And so it allows us to take a small piece of that and drastically grow our revenues. And you see that in 2019 in the projections, as we kind of we're testing that AI now, and that plans to go online of our first pilot Q2 of next year. And that's when
you would definitely raise more money.
Yeah, we are. This is a bridge note. We have a $2 million phase 2 grant.
Okay. That's awesome, but that's BIR. That's good.
Yeah, and so we're timing this right where we think that the convertible note, we've raised $1 million. Our average burn right now is like $50,000. If we raise the 500, that really finances us through 2019. And in 2019 is when we plan to get the disbursement of that $2 million grant, which we then want to deploy. And we think that by holding off valuation, strategically with a note that has a good cap on it for our investors, but we think that it can really, we can get a really high valuation with that grant money coming in, acting kind of like a Series A, if you will.
Yeah, kudos to you.
Yeah.
All right, Artis, any questions? Done?
All right.
Well done.
Thanks, Dalton.
Thank you.